Once again, my name is Carly Rose, and this is my company, Rootcraft Consulting. This is a brief agenda of what we're going to be going over in today's presentation. Once again, we're going to start with ESG, environmental, social, and governance. ESG measures corporate compliance with a code of ethics that supports the well-being of our society and our planet. So 80% of the world's largest companies are reporting exposure to physical or market transition risks associated with climate change. And the graph in the bottom left shows a recent study done by Harvard that projects that people investing in companies with high ESG ratings will double from 4.5 trillion in 2021 to 10.5 trillion in 2026. And just to give you all an idea of how big ESG is already, over 90% of S&P 500 companies publish end of the year ESG reports. So the social category in ESG relates to labor management, and even though it's often the most neglected of the three categories, 88% of customers will be more loyal to a company that supports environmental or social issues. So how does this relate to the agricultural world? Agriculture employs more than 22 million people in the United States, making it the country's largest employer. And the agricultural industry provides a livelihood for around 40% of the world's population. Agriculture, food, and related industries contributed roughly $1.264 trillion to the US gross domestic product in 2021. And the agricultural industry is the single largest consumer of our limited freshwater resources at around 70%. So on the left, this is some research and some papers that I've written about the S in agriculture. And on the right is a picture of me working alongside some H-2A workers that came from Mexico that truly taught me the meaning of working hard in agriculture. These boys worked oftentimes 75 to 90-hour work weeks. They were in the fields at night with headlamps on. I frequently saw them working through injuries. They worked without any overtime. They worked in the United States for 9 months out of the year without seeing their family. And they also didn't speak the language. So accessing resources was incredibly difficult for them, even going to a grocery store or being able to access healthcare. So I truly believe that farmers' bodies matter. So let's nourish the people who feed us. This is a brief introduction on me, and I have been teaching yoga to farmers for around 2 years now. This is a slide with some of my accreditations, and on the left is an organization that I'm part of through the University of Hawaii. We recently hosted an event in East Maui with a group of farmers where we talked story, we shared seeds, and we came up with some new approaches on how to use self-care in farming with the community. This is my company, Rootcraft. And the way that Rootcraft works is we look at a company, and I'll use Dole, based in Oahu, for an example, a company that is looking to increase the sustainability that they practice in their workspace. The first phase would be the awareness phase. So we would go into the company, we would talk to their employees, we would figure out what practices they already have in place. And then the design phase would be developing a customized plan of how we can approach improving the way that they take care of their employees. Next is the implementation phase, and this is the action plan, where we begin actually doing mental health coaching with their workers. We have yoga classes, meditation, whatever it is that their workers feel like they need to thrive in that workspace. And then the flow phase, monitoring and continuing to augment that social category and increasing their ESG score. This is our rubric for how we rate companies that we're working with in their social alignment index, and these are the categories that we're scoring companies on. And this is a list of specific examples of what you can do as a company with Rootcraft to be able to improve your score. One example, over the course of a year, 2/3 of your employees must take a body wellness session. And this slide is talking about the future of Rootcraft. So the serviceable obtainable market, we estimate an average of 20 clients in Hawaii, including Dole that we mentioned before, and companies like Mahi Pono that own about 40,000 acres in the Central Valley of Maui, and Tropical Fresh Plantation. And the serviceable addressable market would be ESG influenced farming businesses within the USA. And then the total addressable market would be ESG influenced food system businesses in the United States. So the next steps, year one for Rootcraft, building the website, traveling and educating the community on services, beginning to interact with ESG scoring companies about the rubric and the certification, and then gaining first clients on Maui. Year two, the goal is to have at least 7 large-scale agricultural clients, building up the certification trademark, and beginning to hire outside to offer different modalities based on the demographic of our clients. Year three, the goal is to have at least 20 clients within the islands to broaden the scope of the modalities further and to have that trademark backed by several ESG scoring companies. So the investment proposal is $100,000 with 20% equity and a return in 5 years. If anybody has any questions that they want to email me about after the presentation, here's my contact info. And a special thank you to Franck and Nick for the photos.